This episode of Void Signal is sponsored by Dark Force Fest. Visit darkforcefest.com or search Dark Force Fest anywhere to learn more about America's premier dark music festival experience. You can also find festival-related episodes of Void Signal anywhere podcasts haunt. Hello again, it's Brian Prime, and this episode of Void Signal features a conversation with Nathaniel Rose. Nathaniel is a member of Stoneburner and often performs with Ego Likeness. He'll also be performing with Aria at Dark Force Fest on Sunday. I first met Nathaniel many years ago at Mechanismus Festival without any idea who he was. He was just a smart, funny, and easy to get along with guy. This one is a long time coming, and I'm glad it finally worked out. In addition to being a longtime force in the industrial music scene, Nathaniel brings a plethora of energy to his performances, in addition to the already large amount of that just leaks out of him the rest of the time. We talk about his creative evolution across both projects, the emotional core that ties them together, and what it means to keep pushing forward in a scene that never really stands still. Speaking of Dark Force Fest, you can come see me for Void Signal Live on Sunday at 1:30 p.m. I've got a couple of headliners stopping by to join random teams and help answer questions. I've also got an artist guest category with questions from Biddy Cobra, Matt Black, Ginger Khan, Matt Hart, and more. There'll be a prize for the winning team. You can also catch me Saturday at 4 p.m. moderating the Rabbit Junk Music and Mental Health panel, and as a guest on the Goths Love Horror panel Sunday night at 6:45. You can say hello to me anytime you see me. You will know me when you see me, and I'll be around all over the place. I'll give you a sticker if you come up and say hello. Before we get to the discussion, thank you as always to Processor for providing Void Signal's theme song. You can find Processor at processor2.bandcamp.com and search for Processor anywhere you get your music. One last thing before we get on to the discussion with Mr. Rose. Void Signal is and always has been ad-free because it's made for the enjoyment of humans. It's people-powered, and if you've enjoyed the sound of my voice or an episode of Void Signal, please consider visiting voidsignal.net or patreon.com/voidsignal. It really helps make a difference in continuing to do this thing, and I'm so appreciative of your time and attention in this world. Okay, our time is at an end. I hope to see you at Dark Force Fest. Please stay safe and stay loud. Until next time, goodbye forever. Hello.
Hi there.
How are things?
Oh, that is such a loaded question these days.
That's good to see you. Wow, it's all glowy and stuff where you are.
Full disclosure, believe it or not, 100% no bullshit. Not planned, staged in any way. I opened my laptop because last night, this is a noise place. And last night I just left everything up, rushed home from work, sat down, took one look in a video screen, and immediately had this thought. I said, I think this is the first time since kindergarten where I feel like that kid who shows up on show and tell day where he's just like, and this is my stuff, and over here is
Yeah.
my. And if had I had more staging time, I'd literally like, all right, let me clean up around here. It looks like a mess.
I'm very impressed. It looks very clean and very like, you're busy and it looks like you're in mission control.
If nothing else, let me turn off the damn lights. There, as you can see, I'm sure I'll banter about it at some point, but lately I've been trying to put myself in a specific headspace, and these lights are audio activated, and so as I'm sitting here recording, I'm like pulsing lights around, trying to take myself out of the world a little bit, I guess.
No, I get that, and that's rad. I mean, I have mood lighting here usually, like, I have like LED lights and shit that I turn on. We'll just keep it that way.
Fair enough.
Well, we're already rolling, so we can just go ahead and begin. But thank you so much for making this work. I appreciate your time. It's kind of been in the making for a little while because I met you originally at Mechanismus like 3-4 years ago, something like that. And
this conversation keeps coming up over and over again lately over, like many of us ever since the pandemic. I have no concept of time anymore. And things that I'm convinced that a shadow of a doubt, like that was 3 months ago. Nathan, that was like 4 years, man. It's terrible.
Or when somebody's like, that album came out 4 years ago. And I'm like, the fucking what it did? Like, it still seems so fresh to me, and I'll often be like, have you heard the new album from blah, blah, blah? It came out 2 years ago. Is it really new?
I am the king of being late to the party. And I only really have two modes. Either A, I'm ahead of the curve and telling friends and like, oh, if you haven't heard about this yet, oh, this is like so cool. Oh, you will. Like feeling a little smug about it. Or I'm the exact opposite. Great example of this one. I love to poke fun of myself for the fact that I am so late to the party on Pixel Grip. Like, I think it's hilarious that I think December I picked up the album Percepticide. And I start listening to this. I'm like, where the fuck has this been? This is my jam. And I was so excited about it. Talking to a ton of friends, like, hey, have you heard this? And I'm like, yeah, man, that came out like June.
I'm either way ahead of like, check out this cool underground thing that you haven't heard of, or, just fucking fabulously late of like, oh, wow, this is cool. And everybody's like, yeah, we know. Really bad with that with movies, like of, whatever the latest craze is. You got to see such and such. 2 years later, I'll be like, hey, that was pretty good or whatever.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same thing. I'll stay ahead of the curve most of the time on films, always watching some sort of film, but not infrequently, I'll hit that movie that somehow just flew under the radar. It was less than 2 years ago was the first time I saw Tron. Because growing up, though I never saw Tron, any of the sequels, and one day I said this to bandmate BFF Steven, and he just kind of had this like, what? You haven't seen it? It was one of those of all people. What are you doing tonight? No, you know what? I'm not giving you a choice of what you're doing. We're watching Tron, kind of thing. And I ended up fanatical over it, like, running around wanting to, when you find the new thing you're excited about, you want to talk to your friends about it. And they're at this particular case, it's like, yeah, man, that was 30 plus years ago for me, but glad you're jazzed.
Yeah. I've still never seen Tron.
I never have had this moment before. Hold on, I need to take the momentary.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. I'm glad that I got to feel that judgment from you.
Not like a lot of judgment. I mean, that's awfully far to go casting those stones in mind.
Yeah. And I just try to never do that in general anyway, just because the world is enormous. Like, there's a million things going on. Like, things get missed.
Actually, when you think about it, it's kind of wonderful. If I could go back in time and do anything for the first time, I would want to rehear so many of my favorite albums and see my favorite movies for the first time all over again, because there's just so much in the world, so many things that like you really only get that first time once, that first exciting, like, where has this been? So now, as much as I will, tease, friends or whatnot, secretly deep down inside, there's almost like a certain degree of jealousy for that friend you discovered, like, you haven't heard blah, blah. Oh, buddy.
The upside of that is when that does happen, I do get the satisfaction of sort of appreciating it again, of like imagining the person experiencing it for the first time and how much it impacted me. And, it gives it a little fresh coat of paint. Like a young coworker of mine, like discovered Leatherstrip for the first time. And I'm like, oh my God, okay. I don't even know how to engage with you on this subject.
That one would be tough for me by virtue of the fact that with most bands, even ones that have been around for decades, it's like, all right, I've got 7, 8, maybe 10, choices total here on a, busy discography for most bands. Leatherstrip, Jesus fucking, for crying out loud, Klaus, yeah. It's one of those, like, literally the last thing I bought on Bandcamp was a Leatherstrip album. And I'm not, to be honest, and in no way a knock towards it whatsoever. Actually, it was freaking great. There's all these awesome covers. But it almost, the downside of it almost felt like it was just kind of a little ho-hum because there's so much material. Like, you have to be super uber, like, mega fan to keep up with that discography. There's just so much. But yeah. I mean, I guess it's a cool problem to have if it's good material. And in Klaus's case, it kind of is. So, yeah.
Yeah, definitely continuing to deliver what we've come to expect.
And yeah, like, I think in most cases, my general vibe on a lot of that stuff tends to just be the man only hits like good. Like the worst material I hit, like he's going to release, I'm still going to like, cool. And on the other side of that, there's going to be something I'm like, he covered what? He recorded what? And it's something to be excited about. So, I mean, I guess if with all the crap in the world, I suppose if you're hitting good on the bottom, on the low end every time, then it's pretty damn impressive. So
speaking of crap in the world, let's get down to talking about you and what you do. So for people who may not know, you are a significant portion of Stoneburner, and you've got your fingers in a variety of musical projects and working on something of your own as well. Can you tell me a little bit about what you're working on and what the future looks like for you?
I started some work on some songs recently with this defined goal of completing an album in the next 12 to 18 months, which I just screwed myself because you're not supposed to say it out loud. If you don't say it out loud, then you can keep kicking that can down the road. But this is actually kind of important that I say it out loud, because to give something a time frame kind of forces you to, into a corner to, okay, well, I forgive the turn of phrase, but, shit or get off the pot. I've been talking about, wanting to do this for a couple decades now. I've run around with a bunch of other bands, like you mentioned. I play with Steven Stoneburner, another Steven in Recon. But doing this kind of recently, I guess I've been trying to learn a shift, like a shifting my train of thought, shifting the way I think about things, and forcing myself to kind of reshape the way that I approach things, because, for a very specific purpose. So I've got the bones of this creative vision worked out in my head, but I'm the walking epitome of that person who's going to let perfection get in the way of progress. So to make this happen, I've kind of, after a long time, had to push myself into some places that are kind of uncomfortable, it's not how I work. Basically do something other than the thing you've done over and over and over again, failing. And some of it, I've been getting help from some close friends. Like I have this funny story from only about a month ago. Steven's down visiting, Steven Archer, Stoneburner, he's down visiting me. And I just ask him very matter-of-factly, like, how do you write a song? And he is like, no, how do you structure this out? And he's like, oh, well, come here. And we sit down, in a studio, and he starts kind of roughing out some of the, I guess, the bones of it. So roughing out, the sections, and here's, the intro, and we got a little verse, and, a little chorus and outro. And I'm staring at what he does, and really quickly throws together just bones. And he's like, it doesn't matter if it's good. Doesn't matter if any of this is going to stay. What's matter is you get something down. And I remember looking at it and just staring at what he'd thrown together in like a half hour. And I was just in complete awe over the fact that there's all these holes and things not finished out. And it was the exact opposite of what I do, which is sit down, focus on one tiny little part and agonize for 6 hours if this works, if this is good, and it ends up in failure each and every single time. So I'm watching him do that, and I literally remember just breaking the silence of not saying anything for a while and just like, you can do that? Oh, and in the moment, just like, you can not make it perfect. And it was kind of this aha moment for me of don't stop letting perfection get in the way of progress. I'm trying to find this intersection between how do you take a lot of the things that I find fulfilling and actually apply them into some sort of structured manner with like tangible goals, and fusing the fun chaotic parts with the parts that actually get things finished. I mean, like, I love sound design and experimentation and thinking up unconventional approaches of making interesting sounds that don't involve destroying the blender upstairs. And I think that I have this in common with a lot of my industrial brethren. But I mean, that's the goal, right? Making strange noises without sacrificing the home appliances. So ultimately navigating that weird tension between those experimental impulses and actually finishing structured, repeatable tracks with actual arrangements. And for me, this is the roughest definition you can possibly give of worlds colliding, but because that's not what comes naturally to me. What comes naturally is I'm going to hyperfixate on this little thing for 6 hours and get nothing done. But the good news after all of this is I'm playing a lot of tricks on myself, and it's working. Over the last, I only really started this journey, I guess, a month and a half or so ago, and I've got almost two almost completely roughed out, tracks that I'm actually excited about, which is cool because I hate everything that I record. This will never be good enough. And that's not to say it's not even bad. These things aren't even bad. It's just when you have some unattainable, undefinable definition of what good is, how the hell do you hit it? So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so that's kind of what I've been diving myself into, trying to, I was telling you right before we started, right, you see me surrounded all of this, and this was not me staging some sort of, gonna be doing, a little, interview. No, this is me every night, come home from work, try to remind myself that my loving, wonderful, amazing, fantastical wife, deserves a little bit of attention too. Spend a little time with her, or she goes to bed, and I come down here for hours on end and try my damnedest not to fixate on tiny little dumb details. Like I did last night. We're going to ignore that, and try to actually push the ball forward. And I've got a ton of support. I lead a very charmed life because we met at Mechanismus, and kind of in the same vein, I all over the place all the time and have met so many cool, genuinely rad people all over the world that, aside from them being very interesting individuals themselves, very creative individuals themselves, most of them are really supportive, really they're the cheerleaders in your corner. They know the people that don't mind you hitting them up of, oh, you're having this problem. Well, I had this once too, and this is kind of, an idea I had, or maybe even just cheering you on. So I'm very fortunate to be surrounded by a lot of that, especially these days, especially such a chaotic, fucked, yes.
Yeah. Now is the time for community, for sure.
Creativity.
And we are, very lucky to be in a scene that community matters and has cool people in it. Like you said, I've been able to go to a lot of festivals, meet a lot of cool people, and it's nice to meet people whose art you appreciate and they're not self-obsessed dicks or whatever the case may be. They're actually cool and they want to talk about art and they want to talk about craft, and I can get down on talking about craft and the creative process and all that shit. Like, I love that.
Yeah, doesn't matter what it is, but everyone, no matter who you are, has something. Some people might not have even figured out what that something is, at least on a conscious level, but everybody's got that something where you broach the topic or things kind of list in that direction, and you kind of see this slight it's like change in their face a little bit, like this, like, oh, we're gonna talk about that. And suddenly you have that random friend regurgitating, 20 minutes of monologue of enthusiasm about the history of radio communication and signals out in space or something just completely arbitrary and weird. And that's kind of the most amazing thing of all of us, because some people are enthusiastic about a thing, some people are excited about lots of things. I'll joke with people that I think I'm under the impression I might be the single most excitable human being, because
Yeah.
I'm excited about everything, which is great for me because no matter what anyone around me is into, usually it's really easy to get me excited about it too.
Yeah. And that is a thing I've sort of commented about you in the past to other people, of like, after meeting you for the first time and then running into you at a few other festivals, I was like, man, he's got like dog energy. He's just like excited about, he's just enthusiastic about whatever's going on. And like, here's a person. Hello. What's, and I was like, all right, that I can get down on that. Like, that's fun. But
everybody's got their thing. And I mean, not to turn it dark, but with so much just shit in the world, especially right now. So I've noticed a definite notable spike in my general happiness level whenever I'm creating something. I don't think it really matters what. The act tends to be just as important as, an end product, if there even is an end product. And I mean, the takeaway from that for me is just kind of like, hey, so if creativity tends to be this like antidote to doom scrolling, like you can't fix the world, but maybe you can at the very least make weird noises that make you feel alive for a little while. So I mean, take that sentiment for me and apply it to everyone, no matter what the thing is, whether it's making noise, taking a paintbrush, to a canvas, whether it's writing. It doesn't freaking matter. Not to get too weird on you, but sitting here over to my right is, it's called an anti-radio. And much like how normal radio is designed to filter out aberrant frequencies that are like to make the signal really, really clear, this thing's job is literally to pick up everything that normal radios filter out. And I'm all excited recently to go around with this little field recorder and try to pick up weird radio signals around. And it makes me happy figuring out like, oh, this is wild that this paper, where did this come from? How can you use this? I did technically my second, but the first didn't go so well, live stream a couple nights ago, just to kind of as a test, a music thing. And I took some of those samples and just dropped them, in the middle of that. And I don't know. Everybody's got to find something these days to latch on to find that tight relationship between how creativity relates to mental health, emotional regulation, and make that doubly so for those of us with pretty terrible focus issues. And, but I don't know. I guess maybe this is the world's longest way imaginable to just say the things that keep us alive and make us not even just alive, but keep us thriving and exciting and living for what's tomorrow.
And it's a thing that sort of keeps me doing Void Signal, is meeting random person who you see that spark in their eyes of like, I am activated, I'm about to tell you all about this thing that I love, and just the way people light up. I'm a big fan of that.
Activated. I love that. That's such a great way to describe it, because I called it this aha moment, but I hope everyone can relate to, imagine that friend that will talk incessantly about the thing. Maybe it's even annoying a little bit or whatnot, but you have to appreciate that spark, that little when they activate, that moment, like, yes.
Yeah. And it can be fun too, even if you're just only person in the room who knows about a thing. Like, I recall a long time ago being out to dinner with, my ex-wife's colleagues, and just all night I'm like, I have nothing to contribute to these people. We have nothing in common. I've been quiet and polite and making conversation, but not activated. And then they're like, oh, have you heard about this photographer from San Francisco, blah? And I'm like, Robert Mapplethorpe, is that who you're talking about? Hold on a second, let me tell you about why that's important.
All right.
Yeah. Sit down, everybody. The lecture's about to begin. Let me tell you all about the significance. And, it's fun.
I always wanted to do one of those with the nerdiest concept imaginable. And I've always just been afraid, would people be into this or whatnot? I want to throw a house party where everyone's supposed to show up making a PowerPoint presentation. Stay with me.
Okay.
Let's cover 5 minutes, and I'll give it a time limit, up to 15 minutes at max or whatnot, about anything you want. Doesn't matter what it is. People come up with the most, just either A, things they're super jazzed about and just want to talk about because I'm into it, or B, the funniest, stupidest, most nonsensical bullshit. I'm like, we're going to talk about the Galapagos Islands. I don't know what just the most off the wall, whatever the hell, because maybe it's just drunk brain, but to me that sounds like it'd be the funniest shit imaginable, or fun and interesting. I don't know.
I like that idea. I would definitely go to a PowerPoint presentation party with people giving little. I would make one for sure.
I do think I need a cooler name than PowerPoint party. Or maybe that's perfect.
Maybe that works, because then it can be the PPP. It's time for the PowerPoint party.
I'll have to workshop that one a little bit, roll it around a little.
Yeah, give it some thought. So, album in the future, continuing to be in Stoneburner, presumably. What else is on your radar for the rest of this year?
Oh, man. So, right now, lame answer, I know. This is totally going to be an unfulfilling response, but this really does, this year, potentially more so than any time in memorable history, this really does just kind of feel like a changing lanes situation where for the last 2-3 months, I just finished out a string of DJ gigs, local and remote or whatnot, just last week or whatnot, did the last one. And I looked at my calendar right before, I joined, and I'm like, oh, wow, this is the first time in a long time I do not have one scheduled. It's kind of a double-edged sword. I mean, if I got that call tomorrow, I'd probably take it. But between that and right now, Steve and his wife Donna, they're kind of heads down, focused on new ego likeness material, his other band. I'm almost kind of taking it as kind of a little bit of breathing room of okay, cool. So, but what's next? You asked. And for me, it really is kind of okay, well, shit or get off the pot. It's now's the time to, if you're going to write that album that you've been saying, so you don't turn into Brian from Family Guy, who spent 20 plus seasons talking about writing his novel or whatnot. No, it's time to actually do the thing and throw away all conceptions about what it has to be. Just hit record and don't delete it for once. And making some headway there. There is a new Stoneburner EP coming out in March called Invasive Species. I know for anybody that caught the last tour, it's got the cover of Cold Magnetic Sun that was done live on that tour. There is a live album that is also recorded that I know I don't know how you feel about live albums. To be completely honest about it, I normally am not even a very big fan, because normally I watch live albums and I'm like, this feels like a cop out. I want to be at the show. I want to be, right there, engaged with artists. But maybe I'm too close to it. But to me, just from the visuals that were thrown together, recorded from it, I'm like, this is really freaking cool. This is I'm legitimately excited about this thing. So couldn't tell you when that's gonna drop, but this live album dropping, that's Stoneburner, that is. But for me, this is kind of head down and do the thing, man. Actually finish the thing. Right now I've got one track that I'd say is about 95% finished. Well, send it over, let's hear it. I'm like, no, it's not there yet. I gotta obsess over it and, pick apart every tiny little piece. And, the thing that I said I'm gonna try to avoid doing. But anyways, no, to be honest, that's just kind of the goal for this year. If I want to, when I'm lying on my deathbed and looking back on all of the cool experiences and the funny stories and laughing about the, remember that time that blah, 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 blah. I wasn't always hired gunning on someone else's, material, but there was also, a few tracks that I was actually proud of because especially right now, I got a thing or two to say. So
Yeah, good for you. And, I hate to say this, but I am a Brian who has been working on a book supposedly for some time now. And I did tell myself at the beginning of this year, like, this is the time. Like, I'm not going to, wait around anymore. And I have to stop being my own worst critic of just like over analyzing and over judging and just being like, just do it. I just have to do it. And that's my advice to anybody who has a project that they've had on the back burner for forever. Just do it. It's going to be what it's going to be.
The part that I guess helped push things forward a little bit was just the simple acknowledgement. And you know what? If this is me bullshitting myself, I'm okay with it. Whatever works. But just acknowledging up front, you know what? Doesn't really matter if it's any good. Doesn't matter if it's perfect. Doesn't matter if there's lots of little flaws in it. Just get the something down in the beginning, and you can come back to it later. I mean, but for me at least, it's true. I roughed out this thing in a single for all the evenings of obsessive. Last night, okay, I gotta make fun of myself for this one. Last night, I was at it from 9:30 to 2:30 in the morning, and almost the entire time, I was obsessing over. I wanted a very specific sound of the main synth line, not the beat, but the actual tone, like the actual sound to the Knight Rider theme music. And I'm just, that tone's perfect. I need that sound. And I spent, how many hours is that? Obsessively, it's ridiculous. I woke up this morning and I went and listened to what I created. I'm like, really? You had a problem with that? That wasn't good enough? And that's kind of the thing. You get so close to your baby, so close to your thing, your novel, my song, whatever it is, that you're so close to it that you're overanalyze the ever-living shit out of. I think that just getting the framework, getting the something down, the roughing it out is far more important than you can always make it perfect later. Now, whether I actually believe that or whether that's what I'm repeating over and over again out loud, so I get the hell out of my own way. Couldn't tell you, but hey, ask me again in 12 to 18 months and I'll let you know if it worked.
Yeah. And just being able to let go a little bit, like loosen the grip and just not strangle the joy out of something.
But how all this kind of started when I was asking the question, how do you get out of your own way? How do you change behavior? How do you change habits, I guess? I started asking, okay, well, I'm objectively, pretty successful in my IT career. How have I done the same thing over an IT career? And I start thinking about all these little tricks I play on myself at work, all these little games I do specifically to force my hand into certain behaviors, things that I do to, it could be as simple as, okay, you're doing that project. If you scheduled project and just said you're going to do it, you're never going to finish it. It's going to keep being kicked down the can down the road. Because you're busy and you have these other things. But the second you put a date on a calendar, this deliverable has to be done by this date. Over here, I have a literal whiteboard that I'm not, it's almost borderline embarrassing just because it's way too, echoing of a freaking Jira Kanban board. But, all of these things I've done just to play little tricks on myself to force my hand of, I have this deadline, this arbitrarily created and in no way being enforced deadline that I have to, that I better stick with. Throw these things and maybe, just maybe, you'll trick yourself into actually doing the thing.
Yeah. And I think that's important too, because especially when it comes to like a passion project or like an artistic endeavor, when you are the boss, it's easy to be like, I fucking don't want to do it today. And you just don't. And I'm way too lax of a boss on myself. I will just be like, I would just be like, I'm going to call in today.
My wife, a doctor of clinical psychology, and she's got a private practice, and it cracks me up the frequency in which, I mean, it's her business. It's what she does for a living. She will talk very unironically, very deadpan, come home, hey babe, how was your day? She's like, ugh, my boss is a bitch. And in those moments, sometimes I do wonder, I'm like, ha ha ha, wait. She's joking, right? She is aware that she is, I'm 97% sure that she is consciously aware that she is responsible for these things. You know what? We'll leave it at confident.
Well, I don't want to keep you too long. We've already been chatting 40 minutes, and I will go ahead and put the last question of the show to you, just because it usually takes up some time. But what is something that you have been enjoying recently? And your answer can be anything, a book, a movie, a TV show. Just what's something you're jazzed about?
Oh, man. Okay. Well, I mean, this feels very anticlimactic on the tail end of what I've been ranting about. Because as we established earlier, I'm excited about everything. Like,
right. There's that dog energy again.
Right. So, I mean, if you break it into little categories, there's the obvious low-hanging fruit. So I'm like, earlier, right before we joined, I was trying to think, okay, the usual requisite, what have you been listening to lately? Okay, cool. And I already mentioned Pixel Grip. Are you a Nine Inch Nails fan?
Yes.
Okay. Did you catch this last tour?
No, I've never seen that. Yeah, I'm a huge fan, and it's the reason my podcast exists, and I'm sitting here before you.
Okay, I'm like, okay, go easy, Nathan. No, I have seen Nine Inch Nails maybe a half dozen times, and every single time made me leave thinking to myself, like, something in me has changed. like the Fragility 2.0 tour, I'm 16 years old, front row, to this concert, the girlfriend at the time, a Perfect Circle opening at a time that no one knew who they were, and see this band, see Nine Inch Nails do, they're Fragile, and I'm, it's like, this is a transformative album, for me, or what. Okay, I only asked because the last tour was so incredible that I haven't burned any vacation time lately. I'm like seriously considering just getting in a car and what's the nearest city to drive to go catch another, because I already saw them this tour. It's just that good. I've been obsessively listening to Year Zero again lately, because despite
it's a great album.
Great album, and also, unfortunately, very, very hitting a certain note these days. Depressingly relevant 20 years, after the fact than it was when it was released. I'm going to selfishly plug, just because I've been so excited about it lately, Adam Jones. I don't know if you know him or whatnot, but his newish project, Mortal Realm.
Yeah.
Like, I'm jazzed about this material. I'm like listening to this stuff. I've been just grooving the fuck out of it so much to the point I'm like, okay, how do I play this? I'm going to very passive aggressively start dropping hints to him. I'll be like, oh, that's awesome. If you need any hired guns for your next festival show, hey, go on tour soon. I'm like, I will learn the material. I'm just so it's so good.
I have to also shout out, like, I saw him do his debut performance at Mechanismus last year, and he just fucking blew the roof off that place. Like, just so much energy, and just like the material is not only great as an album, but like it also, stands up really strong in a live setting, and was just fucking fantastic. That guy's great.
That was very cool to hear, especially since I'm a future member of the band.
Yeah.
Similar goes for the latest double album from Caustic, Fiend. I've been grooving the hell out of that lately. And I mean, in case it hasn't come across, yet, music is a big part of my life. And so spending a lot of time jamming out to those. I'm trying to think from a movie perspective. This is going to be one of those moments where I'm going to be really embarrassed later and so mad at myself as I think of like that film that just blew my mind recently. And then right now I'm just totally freaking blanking, because my wife and I, just constant watching films. I got to pick on her for a minute, because she is one of those people. Actually, I will pick on her and simultaneously envy the hell out of her of the fact that it doesn't matter if a film is like I don't know, we will be talking about this film 40 years from now, kind of thing. Or if it's a 2.2 out of 10 and the worst slapstick nonsense imaginable, she's down for it. That's just my wife. And I'm stupid jealous over the fact that I wish I was that person, but I'm not. I'm totally a little snobby about it over,
Oh, I can get I can't watch this, and I will bail out of something like 20 minutes into it and just be like, let's find something else. My life is short, and I'm not going to spend any more on whatever this was.
I absolutely loved aesthetically. I loved the latest Tron Ares. We already picked on the fact this was new to me. Although I was a little disappointed over the fact that they set this storyline up in the recent sequels that felt very much like, oh, I want so badly to see where this storyline goes. And then I guess maybe because the last one didn't do as well as they were hoping or whatnot, I guess they just decided we're not going to continue that. And I was a little disappointed, one of those, I wanted to see where that storyline goes. But there was the Tron Ares. There was, have you seen the new Frankenstein?
The Del Toro Frankenstein?
Yes, also known, to me as, okay, maybe not so much in the beginning, but next time, if you see this film again, later in the film, I want you to put in your head Chris Corner from IMX. And when you watch this, you're going to be like, oh shit, wow, he's changed. It'll say, wow, this is a different look for him. Yeah.
I did quite like that film. It was, as Del Toro does, like, a feast for the eyes kind of a thing. I did like it.
Totally. And then I guess the only other one that pops to mind is, I don't know why, but I always hated the phrase body horror. It felt like almost a lazy, like, summation of a subgenre of horror that never felt like a subgenre to me. It felt like just, I don't know, things that were happening in this otherwise other horror film. But did you see the film Together?
And just real quick, I can believe two people being Cronenbergs together before I believe that she, as a fucking public school teacher, bought a house on her own salary. Like, I was so annoyed. I'm like, this is the most unrealistic part of this whole movie.
That's one of my superpowers. I'm like overly so, but I'm pretty forgiving on films in regards to the details that would otherwise break things. And in that moment, I think my brain probably went, family money. She came from family money.
Yeah.
And immediately, I mean, you could take it the next step of I wasn't thinking school teacher, but I was thinking similarly of, really? That's your play? He's on like budding, like failing, like musician, salary, and you're in this where was it, New York or something like that?
Yeah, some crazy apartment.
Yeah, some crazy, but I'm like, yeah, I'm just family money. We're gonna go with family money.
Yeah, that makes a little more sense. But those little like details in movies can get under my skin if it's too egregious. I try not to be too judgy and just like, oh, I'm just gonna sit and enjoy this thing and not flip out. But it was a good movie. I liked everything that was on offer otherwise.
Yeah, I saw that one, and it was definitely one of those. The film, there wasn't even a ton of like the unexpected. They just delivered so damn well on where I thought everything was going to go that I immediately started texting certain friends, right on the heels of picking on the term body horror. I'll say, my friend Donna, Steve's wife, immediately started, that's like her jam. Like if you erased all other horror, I think she would like, okay, I get to keep one little segment. I choose body horror. I'm pretty sure that's true for her. And I immediately start messaging her and like, you need to see this is great, which is actually, fun fact about Donna, it's like the worst thing you can possibly do, because in that moment, there's that like defiant part where like, you told me to do something, so now I'm going to.
Yeah. I do. That is a thing I've had to overcome as well. Whereas as soon as somebody's like, you should watch this, and I'm like, should I? I don't know. I'm busy.
Is that what I need to do? Well, I'm sorry. I have things to do.
I've gotten so much more like sensitive and defensive to that particular phrase ever since starting a creative project. And I'm sure this is true of you too, of like the moment someone is like, you know what you should do? You're going to fucking tell me, I bet. So let's hear it, whatever it's going to be.
I remember in Atlanta, there was for years this great club called The Shelter. And it was literally dudes moved into town, goth scene from out of town. And one of them, had that job where they could afford to throw a little money around and literally just decide, what do I want to do? And like, I'll start a bar. Why not? Well, if you ask him, he'll give you all the reasons why not. That's actually, I turned into a concert promoter because of that, venue through, shit ton of shows, in Atlanta and lots of club nights and, such there. Anyways, the point to all this is there was a running joke with me and the bar staff and the bartenders or whatnot, where we'd constantly just walk up to one another and be like, you know what you should do? Because at this bar, there was never a shortage of drunk bar patrons that we were the luckiest group in the world, because if you were ever at lack of what ideas should you, try next or whatnot, don't worry. Drunk people will tell you all about the wonderful ideas that you absolutely have to do. It's going to be great. Plot twist. No.
Yeah. Yeah, that is true of drunk people at goth nights and goth festivals as well. Lots of people with ideas. And sometimes I hear good ideas and I'm like, that's a fucking great idea.
Small doses, or maybe the random thing, you know what? Some good can come of it. I have heard some brilliant masterpieces come from the most noxious, all right, Plato. And then there's the other 98% of the time. So,
Touching really quick on music. Yes, been loving the shit out of Mortal Realm. Holy Water from Sacramento, if you are not familiar. His most recent record was just brilliant. Just channels a lot of Nine Inch Nails-y sort of sound, and he puts on a fantastic live show. I've seen him 3 or 4 times in the last year. Just fucking so good. Aside from music, so when I did watch Together last weekend, I also watched Longlegs, so a little late to seeing that, but okay. Have you seen that? Familiar?
I liked the film, but there was something about that character that I think the entire time I was trying to figure out what this film wanted to be. It felt a little confusing of, are we going for a supernatural vibe? Are we kind of trying to make real world serial killer? Where does this film want to land? And I didn't feel like I had my finger on the pulse of it. And maybe that's okay. Maybe that's, maybe it's even a good thing. I enjoyed it, but yeah, it was just a little, yeah.
I think that's a very fair criticism of it. It was just a little bit shy of having its own real identity. But what really sold me on it was, part of the reason I watched it was because I saw Keeper, same director, Osgood Perkins. And I love stuff in the background, things that reward you for just paying attention to did you see that thing? That was so cool. Right. I love that shit. So enjoyed it for that reason. It was fantastic.
I don't know that one. What was the plot of that?
It just came out 2 weeks ago, so you're not super far behind or anything. But if you like Sam Raimi, the Evil Dead films and stuff, this is definitely a must watch. It has his thumbprint all over it. It just, it's just so good. It's so good. It's so excellent and so fun. And fun in Sam Raimi ways of oh my God, this thing is going to happen. And, it's great. I can't say.
Is it still, are we talking still in theaters 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, I think so.
Well, I should either thank you or damn you, one of the two, because I'm in desperate need of just time right now. Time is the most precious imaginable commodity I can think of, because I never have enough of it. And you just took 2.5 hours of it, because I know what I'm doing this weekend. If I ever say to my wife, total horror fanatic, if I ever say to her and hey, honey, you want to go see a horror film? Like, it's not a hard sell, you know?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And I'm such a big fan of going to see horror movies in theaters. It just has to be like the right thing. And like, this is very much you are going to leave the theater sort of delighted of like, what a good expenditure of my time. Like, very satisfied.
Not to drag it out too much, but did you by chance catch Weapons in the theater?
I did not see it in theaters. No.
Did you see it at all?
Yes, it is wonderful.
Okay, I caught it twice in the theaters, and I think about twice since then at home. It was one of these films that comes along every once in a while that I don't know what anyone else's expectations were, but I'm so glad that I caught it when I did, because I knew nothing about it, went into it blindly, was just one of those like, oh, this looks interesting kind of things. And I walked out of it just kind of in awe, because as I alluded to earlier, I sometimes struggle with attention span as it is or whatnot. Sometimes, not some of my favorite films in the world have a slow pacing. I can power through it, I can do it, but it's tough for me. So this was one of those films that very slow pacing, very, you got to stick with it. And oh my God, in the last like 10 minutes most, maybe less, it was one of these rare films that I'm sure if there was a camera on me in that theater, my mouth would have been just agape, just like hanging open in awe over the last 10 minutes. And I'm like, this might be the single most fulfilling payoff of any film I've seen in years. Like, brilliant.
It is a brilliant movie. I went into it almost kind of blind. I saw the first trailer before it came out and I was like, I don't give a shit about this. Missing kids, who cares? Because I'm just like, I don't care about kids in films. Like, just they can die or whatever, and that's fine. I'm not, bothers me zero. So, but after hearing a little bit of buzz about it, I'm like, oh, it's really fucking good. I was delighted by it. Like, it was so good. I was really grateful to catch Sinners in theaters, because what a fucking great movie that is too.
I mean, not the opening night, the night after it. I literally was my wife wanted to go see it, but I went in, I'd never even seen a trailer. I didn't know who it was. I knew nothing about it. So, man, was it funny for me. As I go into it, I'm like, oh, a period piece. Okay, cool. Like no context at all about, all right, this is one of the films where we're going to be about halfway through it, where we're just going to genre flip. We're going to take the thing, throw it on its head, and now you're watching a slightly different film.
Yeah.
So good.
I'm a huge fan of that, and my God, it was so well executed. And one of those really good horror films where you see things in it or notice background details or characters, and you're like, oh, I want to see a whole movie about that thing or that person. Yeah. Like, where's our movie about the Native American vampire hunters? Like, let me see that film. Like,
I'm sure in 10, 15, 20 years when someone, I don't know, someone in a studio somewhere is trying to, dig deep for what IP can I poach from, for they'll finally fund someone to do the interesting thing. I don't know. A boy can dream.
All right. Well, that is it. Thank you so much, my friend. I appreciate your time very much. It is always a pleasure to get to talk to you and to chat.
Yeah,
I will let you go. Enjoy the rest of your evening, and I'll let you know when this comes out. Just send me over a headshot of yourself for the front cover.
Void Signal enter courtesy of Processor. Visit processor2.bandcamp.com for more Processor. Void Signal is powered by people and ad-free. Visit voidsignal.net or patreon.com/voidsignal to support the Void Signal project. Stay safe, stay loud, and follow Void Signal on the socials.